Who am I? I was just a poor kid raised by a single parent on a failing council estate in South Manchester. The estate's called the Anton Estate, notorious now for drugs, guns, gangs, violence, just what you'd imagine on a real sinking council estate. Went to a failing school. Luckily, I was fairly intelligent, so I passed my exams, but my school was a failing school. It got closed down completely the year after I left. My music teacher was stabbed 42 times in the chest for confiscating a porno magazine of a pupil. Another teacher was sexually abused by 12 lads in the stairwell. I could walk from my English classroom to my geography classroom through a hole in the wall that the pupils had kicked the breeze blocks out of the wall to make an extra doorway. So that was my schooling. I had no father figure, no male role models in my life. I drifted through my teens and my 20s. I thought I'd be a millionaire. I thought somebody would knock on my front door and offer me amazing opportunities. But surprise, surprise, no one ever knocked on my door. And I got to 30 and thought to myself, this isn't working out, is it, Nick? So I got a job at Manchester Airport, and immediately my life changed. I had a regular wage coming in. I made friends. I could plan holidays. I excelled at everything I did. I excelled. I then went travelling around the world for a couple of years in my early 30s. I came back unemployed and got a leaflet through the door from Manchester Council saying, do you want a job in regeneration? So I applied for that, got that job, and that led into a career. I did a placement at the council in a team called the Crime and Disorder team. And suddenly I found something that I was excellent at, not because I'd been to university, which I haven't, not because I studied, but because I was one of those kids who were trying to stop getting involved in crime. I was one of those kids who grew up on the same estates, the same streets, had the same problems, had the same excuses. So some of my colleagues were middle-class, white, university-educated women, and they were going, oh, I feel sorry for you. It's because you're a single parent household. I feel sorry for you because your dad's in jail. And I'm doing the opposite. I'm going, stop lying to me. This is your fault why you're here today in a police station. It's your responsibility. And if this carries on, we're going to evict you and your family from your house. We have the power to do that. And when your little sister's homeless, it's your fault. Look at your mum now. Your mum's crying over this. This is your fault. And I was tough love. And I loved these kids, but I was tough love because I wanted the best for them. And pandering to people making poor choices helps no one. And again, I excelled, I got promoted. And at the end, I was running Manchester City Centre in terms of reducing crime and disorder, based in the city centre police station. And then my life changed, as in we had something in the UK called austerity, which means in 2011, the government almost ran out of money and started cancelling everything. My job and my team got cancelled. I took redundancy. And I used that money to set up a charity to carry on that work on the streets, working with kids, trying to show them all the opportunities this amazing country has on offer. But there's no point having those opportunities on offer if the people who live in this country can't see them, because they've not been trained to see opportunities. We've not given them the confidence, the skills, the aspiration to grasp those opportunities. So I set a charity up to do that. That charity now is a multi-award winning charity, and I was awarded an MBE off our late Queen for that particular work. Then we then set up some homeless projects, so getting rough sleepers off the streets into accommodation, into support. And the charity did absolutely amazing but groundbreaking work, because I had the same philosophy with people who were rough sleeping. Stop telling me this isn't your fault. You made lots of wrong choices, and that's why you ended up on the streets. We want to help you, and we will support you to have a better life. But the first step in this journey, you need to realize you weren't a victim in this. You contributed to your downfall. And until you recognize that, you're not going to change your life. But we're going to help you anyway. And it doesn't matter how many times you mess up these chances. It doesn't matter, because we'll come back the next day and offer you another chance. Because in this country, we don't ever run out of chances for our fellow citizens. If they mess up, we start again. Because I don't want to see people failing in life. I don't want to see people living on the streets. And I don't want to see people in jail because we gave up on them. And I'm sick of us giving up on people and just throwing money at them and going, you stay there, you shut up, you just watch TV, you have a crap life and don't cause us any problems. And then I don't do that with people. I want them to have the best life they can. And the first step is personal responsibility.
Tell us the charity you'd set up. Tell us about that. And then also, I think was it 2019, that there was a backlash on you for what you tweeted, and you had to fight back on that. Because not only setting up the charity, that's one thing, but that backlash shows where we are as a society. And I think that will resonate with the viewers, realizing that you weren't willing just to go away quietly. You're willing to fight for something because you believe in it.
Yeah, so I set the charity up basically with my redundancy money. So, I had 20 grand payout and I used all of that to set charity up and fund it for the first couple of years while we were trying to build a reputation and trying to get money into the charity. Excuse me. But while I was doing that, it's only when I look back I realised what I was doing. I was also campaigning as well. I was on Twitter, I was on Facebook. I was challenging government policy. I'm talking about all the time why we have these social problems in the UK. Especially with kids getting involved in crime. The big issue there, fatherlessness. It's about not having fathers in the home. And so I talked about that, talked about how our government policies is constantly breaking up the family. And they do it from a position of compassion. We need to support single mums, we need to support kids. But what they're actually doing is funding people to make poor choices. And then you wonder why more people make poor choices. Well, we've normalised it and we're funding them to do it. And I'm not saying these things are simple to fix. They're extremely complicated to fix. But the first step is let's stop making things worse. That should always be the first step. I spent time criticising other organisations. We have an organisation in the UK called The Big Issue. It's a street newspaper that homeless people sell on the streets to earn money to stop them being homeless. It's basically a racket. It's a con. It helps nobody who's homeless. I've never met a person worth sleeping who's ever sold it. It's now just a magazine making money for the people who own the magazine. So I've called them out many times. So then in 2020, there was the death of a career criminal in America called George Floyd. And we had peaceful riots in London where 27 police officers were injured in peaceful riots, according to the BBC. And that was the first time I'd ever really heard of Black Lives Matter. I think I'd heard of them before, American connected, but who cared? So I Googled Black Lives Matter, got to their website, not a conspiracy theory website, their own website, and I read it and I went, I don't like the sound of any of this. Defund the police, overthrow capitalism, and the one that jumped out to me was disrupt the Western nuclear family. And I had to sit back and go, what does that mean? They're all English words, but I've never seen them in that context before. And I thought about it and I thought, it has to mean we need less fathers in the home. That's what that means. And that's when I went, no, I'm not having this. At the moment, everyone in the UK thinks Black Lives Matter are Gandhi and Mandela. I'm going to write a blog about this and I'm going to tell people what's on their website. So I wrote a blog in end of May 2020, put it on from a personal perspective, nothing to do with a charity, my personal blog, put it online. I was online for a week or two, no issues. And then someone read it, copied the link and put it on Twitter. And it went mental overnight. I was instantly a Nazi, a racist. Someone set a petition up to have me fired from the charity I founded. A volunteer at the charity resigned and emailed the board saying I was a Nazi. And then the board of the charity, I appointed the board. So the board sit above me, I appointed them, personal friends. And they sacked me over email. I got a one-line email saying, you're fired immediately. Terminated immediately was the term they used. My life fell apart that first week. I'm now known as Nick the Nazi. no one really came to my defense. The online mob was attacking me. And I thought, my life's done. I'm never going to work again in this field. I'm going to struggle getting another job.
Yeah.
And I felt sorry for myself. And it took a week. And after a week, I heard this little voice say to me, what are you doing? Get up, brush yourself down, best foot forward, and take these people on. That's the message you've always given to tens of thousands of young people, is stop thinking yourself as a victim. Brush yourself down, do something, fight back, stop being defeated. And that's what I did. So I got a pen and paper and thought, right, I need to write a plan about how I'm going to fight back. And that's what I do for a living. I write very complicated strategies to solve social problems. So I wrote a strategy. And while I'm writing that, there was a literal knock on my front door. And I thought, oh, who's that? So I answered it. And it was a national newspaper, the Mail on Sunday. Said, oh, can we do an interview? And I thought, oh, Jesus, I didn't expect this. What do I do? And I thought about it for 5 seconds. I thought, perfect timing.
Yeah.
Nothing can get worse. So I invited them in, sat down, did an interview. The following Sunday, they published a 2-page piece on me and my story, and everything changed overnight. Suddenly, I had hundreds, if not thousands, of messages from across the world telling me I was right, telling me to stand up. I had one guy offering to pay my wages, which I didn't need at that time, which was lovely of him. And I realized I'm definitely in the right here, Then someone else contacted me and said, I'm setting up a petition to have you reinstated. And by that point, I joined the Free Speech Union in the UK, set up by a gentleman called Toby Young. He phoned me up, I had a chat with him. He got me a free solicitor, because at that point I had a couple of grand in the bank. And I thought, I can't afford a solicitor because I don't know how much they cost. And I've got bills to pay over the next couple of months, and it's going to take me months to get a job. I can't afford to spend my life savings on a solicitor. So they got me a solicitor for free of charge. I then put a lot of pressure on the board. I started doing all the press I could. I had friends and managers still at the charity phoning me up every day, telling me what was going on, saying the board's collapsing. Some of the board now have gone absent without leave. They can't stand the press. The press are phoning them up. They've turned the phones off. We don't know what to do. And I thought, right, the board don't like pressure, do they? I'll give you pressure. So I started doing every bit of press I could, attacking the board, naming the board, talking about what they should have done. And every time I did the press then contacted the board for comments.
Yeah.
And the feedback was, it's driving them crazy. So this was a 5-week fight. It doesn't sound a long time now, but it was a 5-week fight. And eventually I forced the board to resign in disgrace. And then I appointed a new board to the charity, and they offered me my job back, which I accepted. If you like that video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell and comment. And if you like what I'm saying about running for Mayor of Greater Manchester, then stick around. Tell your family, tell your friends. The only way I'm going to have a chance of winning is a grassroots movement. So be part of that movement and hit that bell. Thanks.